Okay, so thanks a lot. Yeah, I'm currently Senior Manager of Oniro and Cloud Programs at Eclipse Foundation. Today I'm going to present Oniro. I want to thank several of the speakers today who have already introduced what I'm going to talk about and made my work much simpler. So, yeah, I actually want to start with the mission of Oniro, which is basically to provide or to avoid technology silos through the path of open source. That's like the key thing for us, doing open source and avoid technological silos. And basically what we are trying is to provide every device maker with the same technology baseline in an open, trusted, transparent, and collaborative way. So all these pieces together makes a lot of sense for us, both for the kind of technology that we are developing, the partnerships that we have set, and also Eclipse Foundation as the place to develop the project. So yeah, some also to mention who are the members currently in Oniro. We are growing, but those are the ones that are effectively signed the working group participation agreement. We have Huawei, Rai, FutureWay, Noi, Linaro, Politecnico di Milano, Software Mansion, and Tyfox. Each of them are working on different areas, and all together we are bringing Oniro into life. Also, I will cover later some of the use cases that we are actually implementing. Hopefully, some new members are getting into the working group in the coming months, which is good news, not only for the size of the group, of course, but also for the kind of contributions they are going to bring, the kind of specialization they have, and the impact this will create into the project. So, yeah, basically I have divided the presentation in three main areas. The first one is Eclipse Foundation, basically because we are targeting the market, and I from Eclipse Foundation, of course, and I want to share with you why Eclipse Foundation is a very good place for your industry collaborations, how we work, and what are the main things we can contribute to make people work together. The second part is the Oniro 4 principles. It's basically to help you to know what we are doing, how we are collaborating with other initiatives, what are the space we are creating for new contributors, and how all these pieces together are making us to create a market-ready solution. And finally, what's next in Oniro, what we are doing now, what are the next steps we are taking, and basically how we are approaching the next months, and also some of the events in which we are going to have like an important representation. So starting with Eclipse Foundation, basically Eclipse Foundation is the open source foundation based in Europe, and it's the community for open innovation and collaboration. And we are basically driven by these three aspects. The first one is the community. For us, it's like the most important thing. We are community driven, and especially focusing on the developers. So it's not like high-level discussions, it's basically actual discussions. And that's also the reason for the second of these aspects, which is code first. We don't discuss about anything. We just expecting contributing in terms of code to the projects we have, and this is the way we are growing and the way we want to create the impact. It's not about opening discussions about how to launch things to the market. We have already some processes in place to support all the companies that are working in Eclipse Foundation projects to do it, but actually how we make the projects to grow, basically through the code-first approach. And the third element is commercial friendly. And that's also an important element because we understand that we are not just putting code into the projects that we are hosting. It's basically a path towards hitting the market. So how we are supporting this commercial friendly approach in the processes we have, in the evaluation for all the releases that we are making, it's also one of the main values that we are providing as foundation. So yeah, some of the areas we are currently covering, you can see that we have Oniro just in the middle, but we are this year turning 20 years old, so it's quite a long journey until we get there. Probably the most well-known contribution that Eclipse communities are doing is in the open source Java with Adoptune, Jakarta, Microprofile, or OGI, which is something that For the ones who are a bit old like me, I did it, especially OGI, like 15 years ago, something like that. So it's quite a long journey, but we have also some industrial, really focused growing working groups like SDB. We have a lot of car manufacturers working together, which is not an easy environment to make competitors stay in the same place. We have Open Mobility, Open PSS. With embedded and IoT, Eclipse IoT is also a solution, a suite that is turning 10 this year, so it's like MQTT, Mosquito, a lot of things that those who have worked with IoT knows very well. We have ThreadX, which was previously Azure RTOS that has been donated to the Eclipse Foundation, and it's a real-time operating system which is certified for safety critical applications, so it's like a game changer in terms of open source, this kind of technology. Of course, Oniro and Sparkplug, then next generation tooling with the IDE, which was actually the first project where when Eclipse Foundation was started. If you develop Java at some point, maybe you use it, so it's quite well known. But we have evolved not only to the IDE, but also Eclipse Cloud Dev Tools or OpenBSX, and yeah, some emerging collaborations. There are a lot of, one of the reasons for moving Eclipse Foundation to Europe was basically because our relationship with the European Commission, all the regulation that is currently developed by the Commission, like the CRA or GDPR in the past, but Digital Single Market. There are a lot of things that actually are impacting open source projects, and one of the reasons for being based in Europe is to have a closer dialogue with the European Commission, and of course cooperate with other foundations to work together and to save the place or to create a safe spot for open source contributions. Yep. On the bottom, you can see also some of the services that we offer, governance and processes, which is like, I would say, the most valued contribution that we make to industry collaborations, IP management and licensing, community development and outreach, infrastructure and security, and back office operations. And yeah, some of the figures, I will go quickly through them, but over 400 projects, 2,000 committers, more than 360 members, 21 industry collaborations, over 450 millions of lines of code. So yeah, you can see the figures. Probably the one that is more important is over 25 billion shared technology investment, which is actually why we focused on industry collaborations and the impact that working with Eclipse Foundation helps or supports the different working group members. And yeah, in terms of staff, we are not that big. It's right now we are 71, sorry. But yeah, the number of collaborations that we are currently hosting are, I mean, we are really proud of them. And finally, just the unique approach that we have with open source. We are not saying that the others are not valid, but basically we want to establish where trust in Eclipse Foundation or other foundations is important to develop your collaborations. And that's basically, I will focus on the last 3 items, which is the processes and guidance. Sometimes it's a bit, let's say, especially in the first time you join the foundation, the number of documents you need to sign, especially if you are a company, it's a bit, let's say, tough. But that's the way we assure that we are producing market-ready solutions. So it's basically being sure that everyone that is contributing to projects in Eclipse Foundation is supported by our legal teams. Vendor neutrality is also one of the key things. The way we are implementing the voting processes in working groups is something that could look shocking sometimes, because it's not a decision from the ones that are paying the most, but actually from the community. All the community is represented in our working groups, in the governance. So yeah, we we are really happy with the current governance, and yeah, even if it's not optimal or the way they want for big companies, they really appreciate the impact of this vendor neutrality, especially when we have competing companies in the same working group. This is what makes them trust us to host their initiatives. And finally, business-friendly IP and licenses. This is one of the aspects that I'm going to cover in the talk today, but it's important to understand that our legal team or IP team takes very seriously how to understand what we are releasing, who is the owner of the code, and what kind of licenses we are using for either specifications or software products. All right, so yeah, after this first part, I will go directly into Oniro 4 principles, and yeah, it's basically main explanation of what we are doing and how we plan to grow in the next months. So the first part is the concept that, on which Oniro relies to develop the operating system platform. And the first one is adaptable. It's an open specifications to serve devices in multiple domains. This morning was presented how OpenHarmony is approaching different use cases. So Oniro, I will cover right after these slides. We are a distribution of OpenHarmony. And yeah, basically we want to be ready to work with them, be compatible with them, but be independent at the same time. So we can share the same, let's say, core, but we are going to use we are setting our own roadmaps in terms of growth, in terms of developing of innovations. So this adaptability is really important to us. The second part is modularity. It's tightly linked to the previous one, but actually we want to be really opportunistic in terms of taking the technologies that are actually having traction in the market and put them in our Oniro operating system platform. So yeah, modularity for us is basically the way we are going to integrate with OpenHarmony, the way we are creating our own innovation, and the way we are going to decide what is important for us and what is the impact this is going to be created. The third element is the collaboration, and that's, if it wasn't clear yet, it's, I'm going to insist once again on the collaboration. For us, collaboration is not just cooperating with Eclipse Foundation projects, but also with other open source foundations, with other open source projects. So basically to be open to integrate and develop these synergies with other initiatives. And basically, through the processes that we are implementing in Eclipse Foundation, we are setting like the quality checks to assure that the collaboration is going to happen in an effective way. But we need to know actually in which way we can optimize our efforts to create the best solution the best solution possible with our resources. And the last part is to be market ready. As I said before, creating value through engaging in user interfaces and minimizing the risk through IP compliance toolchain. And that part is really important for us because we are kind of creating an innovative approach for IP compliance, the toolchain we are creating, the automation in which we are developing to evaluate the licenses of the code base that we are using in Oniro. All right, so yeah, straight to the first point. I think that this morning the presentation about OpenHarmony was quite extensive and precise in terms of, OpenHarmony is a really big thing, actually not only for the figures, but for the community that is behind, the number of contributors. Today is mainly focused on China, but actually the technology is quite good, it's open source, so the challenge is how to extend these benefits towards other markets. And this is where Oniro is fitting. And it's not just code and a big community. Also presented this morning is about the number of use cases, the number of products that are already in the market that are using OpenHarmony as the core technology. So actually, it's not only a matter of, okay, a cool open source project that is widely used. It's basically something which is having a strong market impact, and how we can extend this impact of an open source solution towards the Western markets. And basically, this is where Oniro arrives. Basically, the way we are going to build the interoperability is through the specification, and that's one of the most important aspects that, that we are currently developing. Oniro specification is developed following OpenAtom Foundation specification process, and that's one of the, let's say, key things. It's their own specification. Based on the agreement that the Eclipse Foundation and OpenAtom Foundation agreement has signed last November, what Eclipse Foundation is doing is taking the specification from OpenHarmony, create a superset of OpenHarmony specification, basically customizing it for the Western markets. OpenHarmony is not affected, let's say, by GDPR in China or by the CRA. So those kind of things are the contribution that the Eclipse Foundation and the members of Oniro are going to make to the specification, how to tailor the current specification to be ready to create products that can work in Europe, mainly Europe because it's the most restrictive regulatory environment, but yeah, that's the key thing. And at the end of the day, what we want to create is Oniro as a distribution of which is compatible with Oniro products, but also with OpenHarmony products. So the main goal is to create a global ecosystem in which we can use both, I mean, Oniro products can work with OpenHarmony products. So that's the main thing, and the way to do it is not just by the code, but basically through the specifications. Once we have the specification well defined, the code will work. And that's something that yeah, will happen, and one of the reasons for establishing these collaborations through Eclipse Foundation is because this is the way to assure that the long-term compatibility is going to happen. Good. So the second element is modularity, and here I'm going to bring this picture, which is basically the high-level view of how we are approaching the Oniro well, as a whole. So you see Servo, you see Rust. There are a lot of things that have been presented. Of course, OpenHarmony as one of the core elements of our high-level architecture. But what is important here is what are the innovations that we are bringing. This morning, yeah, we saw that the IDE is one of the challenges when you are working with OpenHarmony, because it's mainly focused on the Chinese developers. We are using Theia, which is an Eclipse Foundation project as well, to build our own IDE, focusing both on the development of the operating system, but also to support the developers of applications to simplify, to make yeah, much more simple the development process, and to create yeah, applications for OpenHarmony. Also, one of the main aspects we are currently working on is the support to React Native. So this way, application developers who are using React for their apps, yeah, through the support of React Native for Oniro, and will be also for OpenHarmony, we are going to, let's say, facilitate the way those apps are ported to our operating system. Yeah, Servo, I think it was quite well covered in the previous talk, so I won't speak too much about it. But then on the right, we have support to Matter as also as a way of bringing interoperability to the products that works with Oniro. We have Canto, which is an IoT solution to support device management, software updates, which is important for IoT use cases. And Lava is the testing lab from Linaro. So when we grow in scale, one of the most important aspects is how to test not only the code, but also the platforms that are supported by or are supporting Eclipse Oniro implementation. So yeah, it's a key thing. And finally, even if it's low in the stack, we have the IP pipeline and the profiling tools. And yeah, I will comment later on about this, but it's probably one of the things that are impacting today most, or it's one of the main things that we have already contributed as Eclipse Oniro. All right, so yeah, that's a summary of modularity. It's not a revolutionary approach, that's for sure, but for us it's important because it allows us to grow independently from what OpenHarmony is doing. We, of course, want to keep this cooperation open and rely on what they are doing, but we need to set our own path basically to be ready to operate in European markets. Also the synergies with other open source initiatives, I will go deeper into them later on. The opportunistic selection of technologies, that's also one important aspect for us because the size of developing an operating system is really huge. So in the time of development, we could find like good opportunities that, yeah, timing is critical. So yeah, have this opportunistic selection of technologies, identify how they can contribute to what we are creating, and maximize the impact is really important for us. Also complement OpenHarmony code base where needed. It's important to say that it's not just us taking OpenHarmony as it is, it's also the contributions and the innovations that Oniro are creating are going to be pushed for OpenHarmony. So the collaboration is two ways. It's not just us forking a repository and doing our own thing. It's basically we are creating value for them as well. And yeah, to create quicker releases. So just to explain quickly how the code downstream and upstream relationship works. Basically, as I said before, we are taking the Eclipse Oniro is currently based on OpenHarmony code base, so that we, let's say, have a project which is the Oniro mirrors that mirror OpenHarmony repositories, and that's well, basically long-term support versions of OpenHarmony is what we are taking, and from this point is where we are starting to build our innovations. Basically because on the one hand, long-term support is the one version that is best reflected in the specification, but also because the way we want to create our innovations is to be supported as well for the long-term versions. So it's important that we are not, let's say, taking all the releases they have, but those who are critical in the roadmap. And yeah, once we have this in our repos, we are creating our own innovations. We are working on the different modules that complement what is already in place for OpenHarmony. And when we complete, we make our own releases and we inform OpenHarmony about the innovations that we have created, the way they can use it. Well, everything is open source, of course, and well documented. And basically, it's a mechanism through which OpenHarmony and Oniro decides what are the contributions that will be on both sides, what are basically focusing only on specific European markets, for instance, and they don't want to have it on their own repo. So it's a two-way process in which innovations are shared, and it's up to the projects to decide what are the core things that want to be kept in both places. All right, so the third element is the collaborative principle, and this is the cooperation with Eclipse Foundation projects, with Open Source Foundation, with other open source projects, and even companies that are working in open source that are not either members of Oniro or OpenHarmony. So here we have like a list of some of them with, of course, OpenAtom Foundation, OpenHarmony. One of the use cases that we are targeting in Oniro is IoT, so Eclipse IoT Working Group is one of our, let's say, closest friends, and we are integrating projects like Canto, but we have also Servo, which is a Linux Foundation hosted project, so yeah, we have Rust, and now Rust Foundation, it's also a member of Eclipse Foundation. We have React Native, we have Theia, but we have also companies that are using Oniro technology like Bosch or Hopper. So yeah, basically we are, let's say, open to cooperation with everyone who wants to test the technology. One of the things, of course, that Oniro brings is an easy way for Western companies to create solutions that can work in the Chinese market, which is actually important because, yeah, without Chinese developers, you can develop technology that can be tested and run there. And that's probably one of the reasons for Bosch to be working with us, but it's not restricted to, to any specific domain. Yeah, and as I put in the previous slide, for us the most important thing is do not reinvent the wheel. That's actually we are covering use cases that are well deployed, so it's basically identify how we can create value through open source. That's the first thing, and how we can integrate it in our code base. So yeah, one of those initiatives that we are currently developing is the Oniro Developer Phone. It's basically a way of offering developers the means to try and exploit the Oniro operating system platform, focusing on the mobile. So yeah, the scope is to create a European phone based on a European open source operating system. So it's like having in mind what's the CRA, all the controversy that we have had for the last, I don't know how much, but at least 2 years, discussing if open source is covered or not, how we have to sign the software. So it's important that this is something that is designed with all these new requirements in mind. So it's fully committed with privacy, open source, and having in mind the regulatory requirements, as I said before. One important aspect that sooner or later will arrive to Europe is the duopoly of Google and Apple. So how we are going to address that from a European perspective is not just putting barrier for European to develop innovation, but to create a common ground for everyone. And in this specific case, solutions like Oniro, which are open source, are based on Europe and have like, let's say, the scrutiny of the European Commission for all the steps that we make, and it's fully open source. We hope it is one of the main alternatives that are evaluated by the Commission as a possible solution. But yeah, besides these two aspects, which are like more focused on the market, we still focus on developers. So offering the developers community a device for deploying their innovation. As I said before, with the use of TIA, we want to facilitate the creation of apps. So it's not only for, let's say, Oniro, but also for OpenHarmony. So the impact that all developers can create with Oniro is huge. And yeah, also to complement the already available developer board, which is the one that I'm going to cover in the next slide. Yeah, we have already started to work on this, and hopefully we are going to have like more news, more, let's say, precise news of with whom we are working, what kind of model we are using, and all these things, hopefully in a couple of weeks. But actually the work have started. We are fully aware that if we work on a developer phone, there are some basics that we need to cover, not only in terms of the user experience, but also on the number of apps that are supported. So yeah, actually these three screenshots bring us to, or the idea is to show that, we are not revolutionary in creating things that are crazy. It's basically we are following state-of-the-art solutions. We are creating things that are, let's say, easy to understand for developers, and then we have the room for the innovations, we have the room for increase the privacy, we have like the tools for assuring licensing. It's well suited for the use cases that we are using, and yeah, that's the way we are following. So yeah, we have established like different stages for this. The first one is to identify what are the, let's say, the analysis of the situation based on the architecture that we are using, the electronics that are on the device we want to work, and how we are going to create the, let's say, the roadmap, the technology roadmap for us. And a second stage, which is the one that we are starting right now, we are with porting the kernel with the basic boot functionality, the graphical boot, and also HDF support. Then the next stage, hopefully will happen in June this year, is the subsystem activation. So once we have over the first part and we have the phone booting with Oniro OS in it, is start working of things like the audio, Wi-Fi, and the apps marketplace, which is something that we have already started. So yeah, even these are the 4 stages that we have set. We are working in several of them in parallel. And the fourth part, which is probably the most important when we want to make a release, is the continuous integration test images, documentation, and the apps already available for the phone. So yeah, that's the plan for the developer phone. The other aspect or the other vertical that we are covering today is IoT. So yeah, Bosch is one of the main contributors to Eclipse IoT suite, and they have their own IoT, and basically we integrate in Oniro Eclipse IoT Canto, which is a project that supports device management with over-the-air programming, a lot of different functionalities that actually enables an electronic device to be operated as an IoT device. So yeah, that took us a cooperation with Bosch and Hopran, and indeed we cooperated with Hopran to develop the Oniro development board. I have put a lot of links in the presentation, so you can access to the code, you can access to documentation of the different things that we are creating. But yeah, what is important for us, and coming back to the first slide, is how to create a common technology baseline for different devices. So we have Oniro working on an IoT device like this one, but we are going to have it as well working on a mobile phone. All right, so the last element is market readiness. That's basically creating value through engaging user interfaces and minimizing the risks through IP compliance toolchain. So regarding the first part, we are integrating React Native, so supporting cross-platform developers. It's a, let's say, simple way of getting developers or getting apps available for Oniro operating system. Whoop. Yep. Okay, so just to show how it works, this is the developer board that I mentioned before. We have built a React Native app that works on it using Oniro. It's quite simple, but the important part is that this app works in the same way for Android, iOS, and Oniro. So yeah, at the end of the day, we are having everything that is developed for other platforms working as well in Oniro. So in this way, we are planning to further develop the application ecosystem, although we have some challenges like the application validation framework, which is an important element when we are trying to launch new apps to the market and make it available publicly. Yep. All right. And the second element is the Oniro IP compliance toolchain. Basically, what we have done, what we are doing with this solution is integrating a continuous compliance workflow for all Oniro repositories. So it checks first and third-party components, combining scan code and fossology, and generates an outcome that can be checked by audit teams identifying IP issues, early identification, early fixing. So basically, it's a way in which we want to minimize the risks for those who are using Oniro technologies to launch their products to market. I'm not sure how many of you are dealing with this part, but this is actually one of the main headaches for the companies that are creating products using open source licenses that are launched to to the market. So yeah, it's one of the, I would say, most important contributions that we are doing, because the approach we are following is automating as many things as possible, and even this is one of the main areas of cooperation with OpenHarmony, because yeah, we are basically bringing something that they do not have yet integrated in their own things. And additionally, it's not just the code or the integration of the code, but also the dashboard that is that has been created, because this is a matter of risk management. It's not a complete truth what we are going to get. So having this kind of visualization to support the decision makers, it's also really, really important to increase the acceptance of the tool we are creating. So yeah, that's just a simple screenshot, but yeah, indeed, it's one of the main aspects that are getting the attention for companies that want to work with us in Oniro. All right, so what's next? That's important, because now I share a lot of things. Some of them are, let's say, very high level, but it's important to close a bit where we are, what we are doing, and what are the next milestones for us. So this is like the, this is the roadmap that we have set in the working group. We have like these 5 elements to work. I would say that here we have, in October, Eclipse Open Community Experience, like one of the main milestones for us. And we have IoT integration with extended Canto integration. This is something that we plan to work with Bosch and the possible addition of new members to the working group. We have IP compliance with first-party components. Yeah, the IP compliance toolchain integration and the OpenHarmony third-party components audit. I didn't mention before, but the first releases of OpenHarmony were based, of Oniro, sorry, were based on Yocto. The IP compliance toolchain worked pretty well with Yocto, and now we are supporting also OpenHarmony code base. So this is the reason for having this stream of work is still live and focusing on this kind of integration. Then we have React Native. One of the most important aspects is support of React Native on Oniro and OpenHarmony. And once we have the technology proved, the development of the IDE to facilitate the way developers can use it. And then app stores with local apps and the Oniro phone. Yeah, that's something that was mentioned also this morning about the challenges that OpenHarmony OS is having. We are sharing it. The focus is still a bit different, and the tools we are creating are compatible. But yeah, that's one of the main struggles when you want to launch a phone to the market that wants or needs to work in Europe. So yeah, it's probably the more, let's say, heavy part of the work that we are developing in the coming months. Yeah, but we have also some certain challenges from the technical development point of view, the integration of Servo, the integration of Rust, the application ecosystem development, not only with the marketplace, but also, as I said before, the framework for the validation of the apps, and the IDE for the app developers. So those are 4 key elements that will create an impact clearly on the development of the project. In terms of adoption, we are looking for new hardware to run Oniro, development of end-user apps, and porting existing OS apps as well, the open source applications that we found in the market. We made an extensive list of what they are and how we can, how much effort is required to make them working with Oniro, and the integration in new verticals. Now we are in IoT and mobile, but there are a lot of other things that can be done. In the past, Oniro based on Yocto was supported by vending machines, which is, let's say, it's IoT, but in a different way. Everything could be IoT, of course, but I think that vending machines is, let's say, a category itself. And yeah, it's another link that we need to cover as soon as we keep growing. And the third element is the community development, which is also really important to us. is basically to attract new members for the working group, new committers contributing code to Oniro, and alliances and cooperations with other open source initiatives that can benefit from what we are doing, and we can benefit from the approach they are taking. So, yeah, OCX. As I said before, one of the main milestones for us is October with the Open Community Experience, which is the event that Eclipse Foundation is organizing. Yeah, I think it's an event that is basically focusing on developers and created by the developers. So it's quite unique. We don't have a lot of, let's say, marketing presentations or things like that. It's pure code and how we can contribute to the different domains. It's basically a gathering of all the projects that we have in Eclipse Foundation, and this year we are moving to mains, and we hope to have like around 700 people. So you are invited to participate. You can scan the code. I have some vouchers over there, so feel free to ask me and send me any question you may have about it. But yeah, I think it's going to be like a very nice event to present your contributions, to identify with whom you can cooperate, and not only to learn about Oniro, but many other initiatives that are hosted or developed in the open source ecosystem. And yeah, that's also for all of you, the different resources that you can get, our mailing list, mailing lists, the Matrix channel we are using for communicating, our social media channels, links to all things. Basically, you can use it as many as you need. And before closing, just like 3 main elements that I want you to remind from this talk. The first one is the cooperation or the way Oniro and OpenHarmony are set. We are 2 different things that are sharing a common goal, but actually through this common goal, we plan to grow and to support a global community. But the innovations are completely independent, and we are all setting our own roadmaps. The second one is the domains we are targeting, mobile and IoT. Currently, as I said before, we have the same code base for mobile and IoT devices. And in both cases, we are taking advantage of the market-ready principle. So the tools we have created is facilitating us to make this happen. And the third element is that we are a community of developers, so developers are welcome to test and experiment with the technology we are created. And of course, as I just said, OCX is the event with where developers community present their advances. So check the call for papers. You are all invited to contribute to it. And yep, that's...
All right, thank you very much, Juan. Let's see if there's any questions from the audience. Any questions? No? Okay, since we're running 5 minutes behind schedule, we'll just finish it here. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Juan, for this week. Thank you, everyone, for attending. So hopefully you'll see all of you either one event in October here or in Beijing for GOSIM. So thank you.
Thank you.